I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday morning, October 29th. We have another big storm to deal with in the eastern part of the nation. It looks like the winds may actually turn out to be the biggest factor with this storm in the mid-Atlantic region. A long time period with east to southeast winds that will certainly promote some coastal flooding, and that is a big concern, even more so than the heavy rainfall that may fall. Looking for maybe 1 to 2 inch in general. A type of rainfall for D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, but isolated higher amounts are certainly possible, especially down across the D.C. metro region, northern parts of Maryland and Virginia as well, perhaps up to 3 or 4 inches in some spots. But again, the winds will be quite the factor today and tonight, as there will be an onshore flow for quite a while. We're not just concerned with coastal flooding along the Atlantic coastline. We're also concerned with the Delaware Bay, Philadelphia, for example, the Chesapeake Bay, in and around the D.C. metro region. So all areas that are susceptible to coastal flooding have to be on guard today, again, with a long time period of an onshore flow. And that onshore flow will get quite strong, perhaps east to southeast winds gusting later today into tonight up to 40 to 50 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the big picture here in terms of the radar across the nation from WSI's and telecast.com. You really can see kind of a swirl in the radar pattern, and this is all associated with a deep upper level low. We've been talking about this upper level low for many days, as it was a factor in the West Coast storm earlier this week in the Sunday-Monday time frame. Then it slid to the east and south, became quite an important player in the severe weather outbreak, for example, a couple of days ago in the deep south, eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. Now it has slid all the way across the country into the eastern U.S., and it is certainly contributing to a slow-moving storm system, again, kind of circulating around the Tennessee Valley right now as it slowly pulls to the north and east. There's one band of showers, kind of a front-runner band that is moving from southwest to northeast across the I-95 corridor region. The steadier rainfall for places like D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City will come later today into tonight, associated with this slow-moving storm system. Well, let's kind of take a look at a close-up of the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, there's one band out ahead of the main steadier area of rainfall here. This one band of showers pushing from southwest to northeast now across southeastern Pennsylvania, the central part of Pennsylvania, moving through southern New Jersey. The rain will become steadier and heavier first across the D.C. metro region later this morning into the midday and afternoon hours, and that will expand to the north and east throughout the day today, reaching New York City late in the day, early tonight. Well, let's talk about the winds expected with this particular storm system. And again, the winds, specifically the wind direction coming from an onshore flow east to southeast, is really the biggest concern here, because it will promote some coastal flooding at high tide periods over the next 12 to 24 to 36 hours. So be on alert across the Atlantic coastline, and also across the Chesapeake Bay, the Delaware River, the Delaware Bay. This is the 850 millibar wind field as of early this morning, and notice this flow of air is all out of the east to southeast and quite intense, associated with that upper level feature here. So again, several hours with a flow like this will certainly promote some coastal flooding across coastal New Jersey, Delmarva Peninsula, the Chesapeake Bay area, the Delaware River. It could peak up to nearly 10 feet with the high tide tonight around 9 p.m. Philadelphia, be on alert for that. If in fact it ends up at around 10 feet, that will be one of the top 10 highest crests for the Delaware River in this portion of Philadelphia over the last 50 years or so. So certainly a big concern with this extended period of an onshore flow. And really the water levels really didn't get a chance to settle down much from the early week storm that became a nor'easter, and especially hit hard was southern New England, still reeling with many power outages in that part of the Northeast. Well, let's now push forward in time and watch what happens to this 50 millibar wind field. It intensifies over the next few hours. This is the 1 p.m. forecast map. Very strong winds again, east to southeast in general, pushing water in. Could be 2-3 feet above ground level in and around the Washington, D.C. area, for example. And this trend for the higher winds extends to the north and east. This is now the forecast map for early tonight around 8 p.m. this evening. Again, watch out for possible gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour in and along the I-95 corridor region, out of the east to southeast associated with the storm. It finally moves up into the New York City region and southern part of New England by the late tonight, and then tends to die down some by tomorrow morning. Well, here's the upper level feature as of early this morning, Friday morning. And again, this is the same system that came in off the Pacific Ocean, helped to contribute to a big rain and windstorm for the Pacific Northwest all the way down to California in the Sunday, Monday time period. Then moved south and east and helped to spawn some severe weather on Wednesday across eastern Texas, Louisiana, then into Mississippi and Alabama. It's a slow mover, centered over the Tennessee Valley right now and helping to develop this strong low pressure system that is inland, a little different than the location of the nor'easter earlier this week, which was off the southern New England coastline. Let's move forward here and just notice how slow moving this is. Here we go all the way into tomorrow, and that does not bode well for the weather in the Mid-Atlantic region on Saturday. Still very unsettled with a deep upper level low overhead. Expect plenty of clouds on Saturday and a continuing rain threat. No doubt about it, there'll be more shower activity on Saturday in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Even on Sunday, this system is still close enough to cause some unsettled conditions. I expect to see clouds and only limited sun in places like D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City on Sunday, which is Halloween. Cannot rule out a shower or two as well. It finally clears out of here by the time we get to Monday. It looks like Monday will be a much more settled day in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the Northeast. Mostly sunny skies expected. Cool, maybe high temperatures not too far from 60 degrees, and then we'll start looking upstream for a cold air push that will first cross the northern plains, and then the Great Lakes, and then into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, perhaps by the middle of next week. Well, let's wrap up with surface forecast maps from last night's operational run of the GFS. This is the 0Z run of the GFS. Again, kind of the center of the low right now over the Tennessee Valley. Rain and wind extending all the way out to the north and east. And again, look at this isobar pattern here. Winds, first of all, flow counterclockwise around low pressure areas. So in this part of the nation, we have an east to southeast flow right along this isobar pattern here, lines of equal pressure, and east to southeast winds for several hours is the concern that it will promote some coastal flooding at high tide time periods. Again, Philadelphia, for example, 9 p.m. this evening, watch out, that's high tide. Chesapeake Bay this afternoon, and again later tonight, watch out for the high tide time periods. And these winds can gust up to 40 to 50 miles per hour in this storm over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Now let's move forward here and notice what happens here. A lot of heavier rain actually forms. Again, maybe a few showers this morning in the I-95 corridor region, but then steadier rain for this afternoon into this evening. Maybe a thunderstorm or two. The tendency, it appears, will be for the heaviest rain to fall over D.C., Maryland, Virginia. It may tend to lighten up a little bit as you go into Philly, and then maybe a little bit more as you go into New York, but still a general 1 to 2 inch rainfall, maybe isolated higher amounts of up to 3 or 4 inches, especially south of the Mason-Dixon line. Let's go into the evening hours, and here we go, extending all the way up into New York City and southern New England. And here we go by Saturday morning with that upper level low still situated on top of the Mid-Atlantic, on top of the Northeast. Expect a kind of a miserable day on Saturday. Lots of clouds with an occasional shower with the unsettled conditions. And even on Sunday morning, still hanging around the northeast U.S. Cannot rule out a shower or two in the I-95 corridor region. Certainly some rain continuing across New England, at least in the first part of Halloween Day. And then it finally kicks on out of here by Monday morning. Now, this is the forecast map for Monday morning. Pretty nice day on Monday. Upstream, cold air mass, probably the coldest air of the season so far, pushes into the northern plains early next week, and then slowly will spread to the south and east. And it's even on the table here that some snow could end up developing midweek, latter part of next week in interior sections of the northeastern part of the nation as that colder air moves in, and there's still a possibility of a storm system by the middle, latter part of next week, depending on the timing of that system with the cold air influx into the northeastern part of the nation. You certainly can see some snow later next week. So we go from a stormy end to the work week here today in the Mid-Atlantic, in the northeast U.S. with a lot of east to southeast winds, perhaps up to 40 to 50 miles per hour or so, and then colder conditions develop next week, and we'll focus in on that over the next few days once we're by this storm, and even the threat for some snow in the northeastern part of the nation, latter part of next week. That's it for now. Stay tuned. If you're near a coastline in the Mid-Atlantic region, certainly stay tuned and monitor the local conditions at high tide, periods of high tide later today and tonight. That's it for now. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.